What else we have next? We have James Osiris
I
Baldwin.
think we have
author
James
of
in the wing.
Archemi Online.
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is. James
Hey.
Osiris Baldwin, everybody.
Can you hear me all right?
Hear you fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hear you fine.
Hooray, at least this technology is working.
Yes, yes. Oh, it's been a doozy today, but
I admit that I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to hear Justin playing that role because I heard him in the practice and it was pretty amazing.
oh, yeah. Well, next time maybe I'll get to play Brighton again at some point.
Yeah. I hope she comes
We'll
back.
save that seat for you.
All right, so yeah, Warsinger, thank you so much, guys, for the job you did on that. That audiobook is amazing.
Oh my God, thank you.
I mean, the music, I don't know who's watching here, if you heard the music at the beginning of this live stream, but he Justin, and with the help of Ahmed, he just outdid himself on the music for this book. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, James. It's a true privilege to work on this series, and when I picked it up several years ago, like 2 years now, or
yeah, it would have been about that. Like Dragon Seed came out in 2018, and I think you guys picked it up about a year after, so it was 2019. Yeah,
it reminded me so much. The pre-read reminded me so much of Final Fantasy, and obviously, working with Jeff. Jeff's really like, yeah, do whatever. If you want to compose music for it, go for it. And James, you were on board as well, and so I got to try my hand at it, and it comes so naturally because the way that you write really is evocative of a lot of the JRPGs that I played growing up, and you did as well, I understand, right?
Yeah. Like, as a kid, I basically lived in Secret of Mana and Terranigma and similar games, like those Super Nintendo JRPGs, like they were my thing. And I still play, a lot of single player RPGs. Whenever a good one comes out, I snap it up and play it. I'm actually working through a Dragon Age Inquisition playthrough right now. About 5-7 years after everybody else. I've just finally started playing it. I'm like, oh wow, this is great. And so I'm getting a lot of inspiration from that game too. I realized through playing it actually how much some aspects of Alchemy were inspired by Dragon Age Origins, and I didn't even do that consciously. Like I hadn't even attempted to do that. But as I'm playing through the newer Dragon Age game, I'm like, some of this stuff, I think I actually sort of internalized it when I was playing Origins, and that's sort of a thing that authors do. I want to get one of those shirts that's like, warning, I'm an author. Anything you say or do around me might end up in one of my books. Some sort of disclaimer because of how frequently that happens.
Do you with Dragon Age Inquisition, have you been finding that what's been inspiring you specifically? Are you finding it's the voice acting? Are you finding it's the storyline or gameplay?
Actually, it's the politics. Specifically, the way that the game handles politics and makes it accessible to people who are not necessarily interested in politics. So, like when you are midway through an epic fantasy series, and, I would say Alchemy is as much epic fantasy as it is LitRPG in a lot of respects. It's sort of a very much grounded in that like epic, kingdom building kind of fantasy. There is an inevitable like confluence of, sects and guilds and organizations and churches and governments and stuff. And actually writing about that in a way that's accessible and fun for people is really difficult. The Dragon Age franchise, I think even more than Mass Effect, really nails how to do that. You've got like the Inquisition, and you've got the Chantry, and you've got all of these, stakeholders in the storyline, all these organizations who are all politicking with one another. And the game makes that fun. And they've obviously done a really good job because Dragon Age is quite a popular franchise, and it's still ongoing. So I'm learning how video game designers and writers handle that, and that is something that is really useful for me as an author, because I'm sort of at the point with Archemi where the story is starting to really deepen, and Hector and Carolti and the crew are starting to have to carve out a niche for themselves in the world. And
Right.
so how do they juggle all the stakeholders in that universe? You know, that's sort of where I'm at. So that's really what I'm taking away from it, is how to balance politics and fun, I guess, or how to make fantasy politics fun.
Well, how much of that is related to geography? I'm wondering, because you recently just released, I think, for your Patreons, a map that your wife drew that was absolutely beautiful of the Archemi
I could
world.
actually go grab that. We got a print of it if you want to see it.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's just on my bookshelf over here, so I will go on a brief journey. Hang on.
The audience approves.
We'll just stare at the kitties.
Yes, the cat
please.
tree.
Yeah, we got like a proper print made of it.
In here.
Oh wow, look at that.
I'm going to stick my headphones back in.
Wow, that is beautiful.
So, there we go.
It does.
So
Kind
this
of in
was
focus.
Kick ass.
It looks
Yeah.
like it's watercolor. That actually looks like an original watercolor.
Yeah, so this is actually a fine art print of it. A friend of ours has a contact who is able to do like reproductions. He got this done for us as a gift. But yeah, basically, my wife, I did the lines for it, so I basically roughed out the continents and did some of the spear and everything, which is the spear that Hector uses. Sort of everything's backwards, so I'm not sure where I'm pointing. But she did all of the painting and the color work. And so we're looking at doing prints for that, and having that is a really useful reference for me as well. But I think in future books we're going to be publishing that map, as part of the release of the books.
Right. The can you show us the map one more time?
Yeah, sure.
So the world, one of the things that is as you will learn when you are listening to Archemi, is that the lore of these books, there is a lot of lore. There is
a lot of lore.
It's deep. It's like you read the book and you feel like, as you're going through the different AI descriptions, that there's just so much below it. I'm wondering.
Yeah,
James,
and so just for reference, I'm sort of having to navigate without being able to see here.
Yeah.
This way. This sort of, you see the weird little green thing there. Yeah. That thing.
Yes.
That's where this is where most of the action takes place. Just this little section.
Wow.
So yeah, that kind of gives you a sense of the scale of the world. I've been working on it for a really long time. Archemi is a couple of decades in the making, really.
Right.
Sorry, excuse my naked cat.
No, this is exactly where I was hoping that the conversation would lead, as it always does. Whenever we're interviewing James, it's inevitable that creatures will start to jump around.
It's pretty normal, yeah.
It's known.
We have a lot of... Actually, that is incorrect. Sphinx are more
Really?
allergenic.
Oh, really?
Sphinx are,
wow.
if you're allergic to cats, they're actually more allergenic than long-furred cats. If you want a hypoallergenic cat, you need a long hair.
Oh wow!
Really?
You would think Evernudes would be.
I thought that Devon Rexes were hypoallergenic.
Yeah, Devon Rexes are, and that's because their curly fur holds the oil on their skin. The thing that people are allergic to is the oil. And so Sphinx don't have any fur, so the oil just goes everywhere. So, if I was allergic to cats, I would probably have a rash up and down my arm just from holding her.
Wow.
But yeah.
You have a race in Archemi based on cats.
Yes, I do. Very based on cats. Have you reached the point in Spear of Destiny where you've met,
I have
met the
not
cat?
yet, unfortunately.
You're going to laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
When you reach the new folk bit, especially the bit where there's a bit where they're getting ready for a big fight, and I won't spoil it, but the preparations, you will read it and just die laughing. It's pretty great.
I am excited. I think you've mentioned a couple little things that have me very excited. But this is a race that's they're cat people, but they're very smart. And can you tell us a little bit about that and how, I mean, your cats have influenced these characters?
They have,
as well,
well, not just my cats, but many cats. I've worked rescue rehab for a long time, so we take in feral kittens. Both of these two girls, you can probably see Bella there, and Muriel's up the back there. She's the paw with the sort of creamy brulee lump up the top there. Both of them are rescue cats, and we also have another cat that we've rehabbed that lives outdoors. And God, over 15 years, I've probably rehabbed, more cats than I can count. lots of cats. Cat behaviorism is a thing. Ferals, injured cats, strays. We do trap, neuter, rescue, all sorts of stuff. So basically, the new folk are based on my knowledge of cats, and I was sort of imagining them as being like an actual people, like a people that are obviously cat-like, and so that they have that kind of psychology, and a lot of their customs, their architecture, their clothing, all of that is built around what cats actually act like. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, they live in a kind of subtropical region, and then they spread out across the world. They're actually the oldest race in Archemi. They're the oldest species in the original sort of civilized people of the world. To some extent, I guess they fulfill the role that elves usually take in a lot of settings, except that they're crazy, drug-using warriors who who consider stealing and theft to be an art form. And there's actually some really funny body language things that they do. Book 5, Spear of Destiny, which Justin is currently working on now, is very Mewfolk centric. They actually go to Mewhome. They actually go to the base of the cat people and meet one of the queens that rules Mewhome. And my wife and I, we do a lot of riffing, and we riff this scene where the queen of the Mewfolk is like, she habitually just pushes things off tables. Like, that's her deal. She's lying on her throne and like with her servants and everything. And she just, while she's thinking about stuff, she like bats this little glass off the edge of a table, and that she has this like special servant that comes out, sweeps up the broken glass, puts a new glass on the table, and then scuttles off so that she can do it again. Because cats, they just do that. they knock things off.
I have had cats, and I don't know, Annie, Gary, Jeff, have you guys had cats?
Oh yeah.
I've never owned a cat.
Dogs and rabbits.
I'm currently visited on a regular basis by my neighbor's cat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's learned that if he sticks his claw in my leg, he gets my attention.
Yeah, that generally does. Yeah, like cats are weird. They're the only domestic animal we have that basically domesticated themselves. They've basically manipulated the human race since time immemorial to adopt them. They will pitch their meows and their purring to more resemble the sound of a human infant, so that to manipulate us. Basically, they emotionally manipulate us, and they know that they're doing it.
They wouldn't meow if it weren't for humans?
No. They, like, if you work with a feral cat, they don't meow. They don't meow and they don't purr, because they only do that with us. Basically, they figured out that we communicate verbally, so they communicate verbally with us. But with other cats, unless they're fighting and screeching at each other, they don't actually meow at each other. That's a behavior that they adopted to communicate with us and manipulate us.
That is
and manipulate is not an exaggeration. They know exactly what they're doing.
Well, I am absolutely stoked to get to that part of Spear of Destiny. We do have a clip, and this is the scene at the very beginning of the book, James. Are you able to can you give just a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to hear with the desert and the bandits?
Oh, so it's the opening of the book?
Yeah.
Do you really want me to? I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory.
No, I don't want to. It is. You're right. Let's play the clip if we can have that queued up, and
before we do that, briefly, I will talk a little bit about book 6 after that if we've got a little bit of time. I have the title for it now.
We'll have some time afterwards. But this is from Warsinger, Archemi Online, book 4.
Sure, I can handle 20 guys.
Face, meet, palm. Tidbit. Phrasing. Coralti pulled her top off with a flourish and flung her shirt and scarf aside. The captain's eyes widened. A murmur went up among the bandits. The guys who had been half hidden overhead leaned down to gawk. All of them gaped with the awestruck expressions of men who had glimpsed the Holy Grail. Then Karalty unequipped her pants, and all hell broke loose. Black scales swirled up in a storm of hot mana, coiling around the place where I and Cutthroat stood. Just like that, the canyon was plunged into darkness as Karalty's huge, narrow wings spread out and stroked the air, driving a storm of sand into the faces of the bandits now collectively shitting themselves in terror. Most of them fled. Others went to their knees, screaming for mercy. The captain was the only one brave enough, or stupid enough, to shrug off his fear and attack. He let out a high-pitched shriek, dropped Cutthroat's reins, and rushed the dragon with my spear. "I warned you, man!" I held out a hand. The spear vanished from his grip and appeared in mine. "Dudes wearing one color are bad news." He stumbled to a confused stop, staring at his empty hands, then looking up to see Karalty's jaws gaping over him. She snapped him up by the torso with the wet crunch of teeth driving through bone. He managed one muffled scream before the dragon flung her head and threw him like a bowling ball into the fleeing men, took a step forward, and roared. Karalty's voice shook the cliffs, raining rocks and sand and bodies down. Several formerly hidden bandits crashed to the dirt. "I'm sorry! She has this problem where she compulsively takes her clothes off," I yelled after the retreating cavalry. "How can I make it up to you? You guys like ice cream?" After Surrey, ice cream was Cutthroat's favorite word. The Hookwing's pupils constricted to pinpoints of excitement before she threw back her head, bellowed, then charged off at full speed after the fleeing bandits. Without a rider, the huge Hookwing was faster than her smaller, panicking cousins. She leaped onto the back of the slowest one, dragging the honking dinosaur to the ground with her jaws and hind claws. She plunged her sword-like claws into the rider from either side, killing him instantly. The rider in front aimed his crossbow at her head, but as the fallen Hookwing crashed into his, the bow jerked back and he shot himself under his own jaw. "She slices! She dices! She comes with her own set of steak knives!" I sang out, using my core ability, Jump, to leap 40 feet straight up into the air. At the apex of the jump, I vanished into coils of black mist, reappearing on top of the cliff edge and scattering bandits in all directions. "Order now and you'll get this free Spear of Nine Spheres shoved right up your ass!" The NPCs drew swords and charged in to fight, skidding to a halt as the Spear of Nine Spheres came alive, bursting into black, cold, rippling foxfire that painlessly engulfed the blade, the haft, and my arm. "Sorcery!" one of them screamed. "He's a witch!" I slammed the blade of the spear into the ground, discharging an explosion of black, thorny vines of energy into the mob. They lashed out at all 6 bandits, knocking 3 of them down, ensnaring one and killing one outright. Shouts of horror rang out as ice crawled up their limbs, freezing them in place. The dark mana swirling around the polearm turned a deep red as I whirled it around and cut them down one after the other. They fell to the ground, shriveled, their life energy sucked out of them. These bandits were level 10, with no magical defenses, no resistances, and only about 500 HP. They didn't stand a chance.
You have killed the Hari deserter. You have killed the Hari deserter.
The canyon below lit up with brilliant white light as Karalty unleashed her breath weapon. "How's it going down there?" I asked her, pausing to survey the carnage I'd just wrought. "Don't cook Cutthroat!"
I won't. She's fine.
Karalty chirped back.
She's behind me, eating one of the dead guys.
I really should be disturbed by this.
That, of course, was Laurie Catherine Winkle playing Karalty and the AI. Sound effects were Harlan Guthrie. Go ahead, please. Yes.
I was just going to say she has done such an incredible job with Karalty. Because she's done Karalty like all the way from when she was like a hatchling through to her young adulthood. So she's managed to like carry off that character across like 5 or 6 different stages now of growth, which is just amazing.
Yeah, every time Karalti levels, she has to adjust her acting slightly to be a little bit more mature, and she hits it every time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this series so much.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying.
That score is epic, man. It's
so good.
Are you using the Lego method in this?
No, this one in particular was done. It was not Lego method, but it could be, because there was like a recurring theme, and the way it was written really inspired the way James wrote this segment really inspired the composition, because it's kind of like what's the opposite of a curtain call? Like the beginning, reintroducing the characters. You've got Karalti jumping into action, then you've got Cutthroat jumping into action, and then you've got Hector jumping into action. And so the piece is just kind of built around that. There's like a theme of the ba 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 ba, and each character already has their own theme, Karalti and Cutthroat especially, so those themes were kind of interwoven in as well. I'm hoping to use it later on in the series as well.
Hell yeah.
These segments.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Book
other
6?
than that, like, I've been working on book 6, so we do have a title for that. The title of book 6 is going to be Crowned in Black, which gives you, I guess, some indication of what it might be about. Not necessarily what you think it will be if you've read the series up to this point. Spear of Destiny is the 5th book. That one, I believe, is in production now, Justin. You've started the read for it?
Yep. I've started I'm still working through the pre-read, but I'll be starting the narration very soon.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we've got book 6, and then there's 3 more books after that. So we've still got a little while to go with this series. Yeah, so Spear of Destiny, then Crowned in Black, and then I have no idea what the 7th book is called. I sort of make it up as I nail down the story. But yeah, book 6 is in development right now. So, and I'm also working on a second series. I'm branching out into a more action-based, less epic, fantasy-inspired, kind of sort of Ark-like the game Ark setting with lots of dinosaurs and fighting and people doing survival stuff. That one's going okay. It has a monster protagonist. I'm actually getting the monster design commissioned. I was talking to the artist just before about that. Actually, he's just about to start that.
Excellent.
And the protagonist of this series, he has probably one of the best names I think I've ever made. It is his Radiance, MT Noodles the Fourth, PhD, is what he names himself. Because he can't remember his own name, and he's just giving the system sass when he makes his name. But he insists that the system, in every like arena battle that he has, he insists that the system uses his full name and title. So it's pretty great.
Do you have samples of this? Have you put up samples of this book?
I have
anywhere?
given samples to my Patreon people, and I have shared them on Discord. I haven't done like much in the way of public posting of it yet. It's still kind of in the secret development stage. I've finished the first half of the book, so we're about 50,000 words in, and then whenever I edit, I almost always add like 20 to 30k. So it's probably going to be about the same length as Dragon Seed when it's done. But yeah, I plan to start sharing that once the second book is finished. I'm writing book 1 and 2 together, and then it'll be out, and it'll be on Royal Road first. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And are you going to release it sequentially on Royal Road?
Yeah, as a serial first, yeah. So basically releasing it on Royal Road, having the first and second book up for pre-order. Anyone who's on my Patreon gets it early. They get the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
well, there you go. You heard it here. If you want to get a sample of these incredible books that James is working on, I'm very excited. Check out his Patreon. Be sure to join there. Also, check out his Discord. There's a great community of Archemi fans there, and James is there himself. I pop in every now and then, and it's really, there's something special about the community you're building, James, with Archemi.
Yeah, the Discord is pretty damn active for an author Discord, I think. I will post a invite link on the YouTube comments.
All right. Well, Warsinger is out now. You can get it on audible.com. And Spear of Destiny goes into production. Well, technically it is already in the pre-production stage. So stay tuned and follow James's Facebook page and Soundbooth Theater Facebook pages. And you'll get all the news you need from that. Did you want to say anything else, James, before signing off?
No, I think we're good. You know,
right.
I basically am just going to spend the rest of the day writing. So
Okay, well, good
that's kind of
luck
where
with
my head's
that.
already at.
Thank you so much for joining us, James.
No
I'll be
worries.
talking with you later. And
Always a pleasure.
All right, and thanks for having me.
Goodbye,
Especially
Bella.
with kitties.
Goodbye, kitties.
Bye, Katie.
Bye, kitties.